Hello, welcome to my podcast, Restaurant Talk. I am your host, Gazwan. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is building a strong restaurant brand. And with that, let's get started. I'm sure any of you guys will go outside your door, you'll see a bunch of different restaurants, and there are a lot out there. And some of them succeed and some of them don't. And here's some of the reasons why they can succeed or even over succeed and be some of the best restaurants in your area. So first and foremost is I think a lot of people don't necessarily define what their restaurant is going to be and just kind of put something together because they feel that they want to open up a restaurant. There's a lot of research that needs to get done prior to opening a restaurant or building a restaurant from scratch and how to figure out who are you going to be in your area. So if you're not doing any of your business plan or your target market or demographics for whatever area you're in to figure out what restaurant will work in your area or what has worked and what hasn't worked in the past for someone else, doesn't always necessarily mean it's not going to work, but you got to make sure that the demographics and the type of restaurant that you're building in your area is going to match to some of the people that are going to be there that are going to be spending that kind of money. So if you're going to be building a high-end fine dining restaurant in a blue-collar town, you may not be able to fill the seats as much as if you were in a higher income area where you might have more people come in on a regular basis. And also same thing if you're going to put a burger joint or just kind of a diner kind of place in a higher end, it may or may not work. So you have to do your demographic uh, analysis and just to kind of make sure, will this concept work in your area? And in my opinion, I don't think you should open up a restaurant just because the market needs it. Open up a restaurant that you feel that this is your, bread and butter. This is your life, is something that you've been thinking about for years. So if you're, a vegan, then open up a vegan restaurant. Just because, you're a vegan doesn't mean you should open up a taco place just because Mexican places or taco places is needed in that town. So find something that's dear to your heart. If you're that type of person, then you'll make it work. The one thing that's very, very important, I'll start with defining the restaurant's unique identity. So, and a lot of people don't always know what their identity is going to be, and I think that's probably one of the most important things to figure out first. If you can't find your identity and what your thought is, what this restaurant's going to be like, or what I want it to be, or where it's going to be, I think you're going to miss the first and most important thing, and you're not going to succeed. So by finding what your concept and theme is, what are you going to be? Are you going to be fast casual? Are you going to be fine dining? Are you going to be, a fusion restaurant? What's your concept going to be? You need to figure out first what your concept and your theme is going to be before you can kind of move forward in developing that restaurant, because there's a lot of things that go into a restaurant, and you starting off with your theme to kind of tell you basically what am I going to be, whether it's from the decor to your menus, to your staffing, all that comes in place after you kind of decide on what your theme and your concept is based on what you believe in or what you want to make as a restaurant. And can that restaurant succeed in that particular area that you're looking for? Back in the days when I went to school, and I still think it's very important as well, but they say location, location, location. That's still very important in the restaurant business, which still gives you a lot of traffic. Being in the right place will give you the traffic. But besides that, I think this day and age, a lot of stuff is used with the social media. Social medias, can make you or break you. And if you're in a kind of a hole in the wall and you're doing a great job, and people see it on social media, whether it's in Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or anything, like that. That will bring your business in, but that's going to take some time. It's not going to be like, oh, well, we found him just by TikTok or Instagram. So yeah, location is great. You have to make sure that the location is correct for you, that the square footage is right for you. I mean, I see a lot of people that will open up a restaurant that is just too big for them, and they just simply can't get the people in the seats in order to be able to pay the bills. Obviously, the bigger the restaurant, the more electricity, the more staffing, the more it's going to cost you to run that business. So be careful in, what kind of place you uh, purchase or rent or lease. So it's great to start something small if you know what you're going to be, and then expand. A lot of people will do that. That may take some time. Hopefully, it won't take too long if you're doing the right concept. So it's great to expand into a bigger place down the road. But once you have a big place, 150, 200 seats, and you can't fill those seats, you're just wasting money on space and electricity and staffing, or um, that's just going to be thrown out the window. So first, find out what your concept and your theme is, and kind of stick with that, have that in your brain, and then move forward with that to kind of understand where you want to be. But your concept and theme starts with developing your brand. Next is your mission and your values. I think it's very important to kind of understand what your mission is, what your values are as a restaurateur. Is your mission to be farm to table? Are you locally sustained food? Are you're a seafood restaurant that gets the seafood on a daily basis coming in? I mean, those are the kind of things that you want to look forward to. If you're a vegan, are you serving all vegan and vegetarian foods to your concept? I mean, where are you? Farm to table? Yeah, great. I mean, if you're in the middle of nowhere and there's no seafood, can't really be called a great seafood restaurant when you're getting your seafood once a week and it can be frozen. So, I think that's what's kind of tough in this industry, is that we want to be called a certain thing, but if we can't continue to be that brand, then it's going to be tough. I think it's really, I see a lot of places that are in the middle of nowhere, and they call themselves the best seafood in the area. And, unless you're locally caught and fresh, and it's a different world out there. So, I think it's great to be locally sustained. If you're going to be in that type of area, take advantage of it. If you're close to to those waters, then call yourself, fresh seafood. If you can get it from those local vendors, and the local fishermen, please, by all means, take advantage of that. But you need to kind of find out what your mission and your values, and stick with that and evolve through that in order to be able to grow your business. It's also very important to know who your target audience is. I mean, who you're looking to target to. Are you looking to those millennials who want to be, taking the pictures and putting them on Instagram and just kind of, flow through that? Or are you going? Your target market is your business professionals coming in for lunch, or your high end steakhouse, high end, you know, seafood place. You need to make sure that you're targeting to the right market and the right dishes that you're looking for, based on who you're focused to. That will help you actually be able to develop your marketing strategies and your menu and your ambiance based on who your target market is, um, which is very, very important. So it's your target audience is the people who you need to make sure that you fit in your menu, fit in your ambiance to, in order to be able to, succeed. You don't want to have a very dim restaurant, kind of cozy small place, and then your target market, as you see a lot of people, is more of an older crowd in your neighborhood, and they can't see the menu. So you need to kind of tweak your to your business based on your clientele that you have. Uh, Also, very, very important, logos. I mean, I think a lot of people just kind of you know, rush their logos, and they don't kind of fit their theme per se. So I think they need to take some time and hire a professional if they can't do it. There's a lot of logo apps out there. I get that. I see a lot of people use it, but spend a little bit of money, hire a professional designer, let them get you a nice logo that's going to really stand out, so it doesn't look like any other logo down the street from some of the people that made a logo through some of these apps. So spend a little bit of money, get a professional logo, because that's going to be your brand, and which is very important. Where people see it, and you're like, oh yeah, this is so and so's steakhouse or brisket place, or taqueria. I think it's very important to make it unique, and don't just kind of just wing it by getting some of those small apps that are free, or $10 or something like that. I think spending a little bit of money of your logo really kind of tells you a lot about what your brand is going to be, and who you are. And then you could if your brand and logo is excellent, you can put it on hats, you can put it on t-shirts, you can put it on mugs. I mean, that's an extra retail and revenue for you that you can sell in your restaurant, and you can sell online and be able to use that extra money towards your business as well. So I mean, that's an extra source of revenue for your business by having a great logo what people love and notice anytime they go anywhere. I think color palette and fonts we don't talk about as much. I think it's depending on the type of restaurant that you have. I've been in a lot of Mexican restaurants, and everything is red and yellow and blue and very colorful, and it's very exotic and stuff like that. And that's the theme of that restaurant. I mean, Mexican restaurants, you see them, they're always different colors and they're always bold, and that fits the theme. I have a restaurant that's just opened up in the last couple of weeks in our town, and it was an old pub, and they made it into a Mexican restaurant. And guess what? It looks like the pub. They really probably just throw on a couple coats of paint and call it a Mexican restaurant, and it looks nothing like the Mexican restaurant. I haven't even gotten in there yet. I just drove by and looked through the window, and I'm like, I can't see this being a Mexican restaurant, but it is. I mean, I don't know if they're completely done doing anything, but obviously it's open. People are in there. But from the outside, it still looks like it's that old Irish pub that was in town years ago. So you need to make sure that, if you're having a type of restaurant, whether it's, if it's fine dining, you have elegant menus with nice script, focusing on that. Also very important if you're going to have a pub style or, a burger place or a liquor place that, your colors and your palettes fit the type of place that you have. I have one of my customers is kind of family oriented place. It looks like a barn, and they have cows, and that's their logo type of cow placemats and menus, and it just looks fun. It's very family oriented, and you could tell that that was what they were going for, and they knocked it out of the park. That place is busy 24/7. And it's because they set themselves up for that by their logo, which is excellent, and they have it on merchandise, and I'm sure they saw merchandise, and their menu looks great, and that's what they went for, and they're doing very well with it. So it really starts, that foundation of your theme and what you want to be, and then creating your logos and creating your menus in that type of environment. And those are the type of people that you're looking to attract. Are the ones who are going to be there. So how you set up your menu it really kind of focuses on to who you want to attract into your restaurant, whether it's family oriented, whether it's professionals, whether it's business luncheons, or if it's a high-end place where people are going to come in more on their special occasions, if they're going to come in on the birthdays or anniversaries, or it all depends. But it really depends on where your location is and what type of place can be sustained in the area. That's very, very important to focus on. And if it fits that area, great, go for it. The physical decor of the restaurant is to keep in mind is to follow through for what we were saying in regards to your restaurant. Like I said, it's follow the color schemes and follow the logos, and if you have a burger place, and throw some cows or some pictures and stuff like that of cow pastures and things like that, and farmland to fit that that feel of that restaurant. I think it's developing a consistent brand in your voice is also very important. Like I said, if you have that fast casual restaurant, then those are the type of people that you kind of want to hire, more of a bubbly, fun kind of people. Also in their language, how you talk on the phone, how you answer the phone, how you greet the table is different than greeting people or answering the phone if you're in a fine dining restaurant. You don't go up to the table if it's a fine dining restaurant and say, "Hey, how's everybody? What can I get you today?" That doesn't fly. But if you're in a fine, more casual restaurant, you can get away with that. So also, watch the tone and language of and it helps with your marketing, of what the type of restaurant that you want to focus on. The way you also engage with your restaurant and then training your staff. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, especially when you're hiring staff. if you're a fine dining restaurant and you have somebody who doesn't have that experience in fine dining, it's really going to be tough for them to be able to pick it up. I'm not saying that you can't go from a diner server to be a steakhouse, fine dining, upscale place in New York City, but if you can get that training, great. But you need, when you're hiring, you need to hire the staff that fits your restaurant. If they're fine dining, you need to have that experience. If they're not fine dining, then it's going to be hard to get them into that. So even if you have somebody who's fine dining, can kind of tone it down and be more fun, great. So you hire for the staff based on what your concept is, and if they have that experience, excellent. If they don't, they can evolve into that, or maybe move on to the next person. So don't be afraid of that. Creating your signature menu based on your topic of your restaurant, I think, is very important to make sure that it fits your feel. And I see this a lot where a lot of restaurants will, if they start off of something and, they have to have that signature dish and say, okay, this is, if we're a brisket place, this is our main dish, this is our signature dish. Have a signature dish where you feel that, people are going to come in for that. They're going to come in for that brisket. They're going to come in for that specialty dish, that, seafood platter because you're, close to the shore or something like that. What people are going to come in for and know you for that particular menu. And I think your menu design also should, like I said, focus on, like I said, either it's fine dining or casual. We'll kind of stick to that. Ambiance, again, I've said that before, is the ambiance of the restaurant, dictates what type of place you have. If you're, if you're more family oriented, pay attention to your lighting, pay attention to your type of music that you guys are playing in there. If you're more of a pub, are you putting up more of a higher, rock music or, anything like that? You can't play that type of music in a fine dining establishment, or maybe if you're a Mexican place or Indian place or Asian place, you play that type of music that kind of fits that style of the restaurant. I've walked into places where I'm in an Indian restaurant and they're playing rock music. I'm like, this doesn't fit. Like, this is really weird. So I think it's making sure you're paying attention to the type of music, your ambiance, your lighting is very important to during lunch hour, the lights are up, and during dinner hour, the lights are dim. It's pretty straightforward. It just needs to pay attention to that. Establishing a strong digital presence is very important. Where I see a lot of people may not have a website, and I think you're shooting yourself in the foot by not creating a website, and a great website at that. In order to kind of, because people want to go and see what you have. You might have your dishes on there that shows, what type of dishes you have and pictures of the dishes. And people may have you have your social media attached to that, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, or your anything like that. So you can kind of see what their reviews are, and you can see, or it's on Yelp. You can go straight to that. But a lot of people who go out to eat, they say about 93% of the people will look to social media, or will look to your website and start off with there and see, if you have a really crappy website, in my mind, I'm saying to myself, this guy's pretty lazy. Spend a little bit of money, cost a couple $1,000 in the end. It's well worth it. Have a great website. That will dictate what kind of place you are. If I see a really crappy website, I'm saying, this guy doesn't even care. I'm probably going to go in there and the place is going to be kind of dirty. The staff don't care. It's just going to be kind of bummy. So a lot of people will see that dictation of, if the website is not that great, there's no pictures on there, the prices are inaccurate, it's so outdated, it's not even the right menu, you've changed so many times, then you're losing your identity. So for me, also what's important is, and I see this a lot, I think that when people find themselves trying to open up a restaurant and it doesn't work, and then they just start throwing, things on the wall and they hope they stick. If they're a pub kind of place and now they're throwing, Asian fusion dishes in there and see if they can try to, please everybody. This is what I hate when somebody tries to open up a restaurant where they're failing and they just try to throw anything out there just to please everybody. You can't please everybody, guys. I'm telling you, it's impossible. So don't try to put, every single cuisine on your menu just to bring people in, because that doesn't work. if you're an Italian place, call yourself an Italian place. Have Italian dishes. Do not throw, Thai dishes on there just to bring in some Thai people, or don't put in some Asian dishes to bring some Asian influences. Not even for specials. I don't even like that. If I'm going to a particular place, if I'm going to a taqueria, I better not see hot dogs on there because that's just not what I'm going for. If I want a hot dog, I'll go to a hot dog stand. If I want a burger, I'm going to go to a burger stand. I want to see burgers at a taqueria, and I don't want to see, Indian food at a steakhouse. That's just not where it works. So if you find yourself that you're losing your identity and just putting whatever on there to please everybody, I think you're going to lose in the long run. I think you need to step back and kind of figure out where you're losing your customers and why things are not working. It's fine to do some specials here and there, but if it's not even in the scope of what your brand or concept is, then I think you're going to lose customers. So if you feel like you're okay, I'm a steakhouse, and I'm putting tacos on there, I don't think it's going to work. So you need to step back and kind of figure out what's not working and regroup. I actually just had a customer recently in the last year. Fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of restaurants have closed due to COVID, and I've had numerous restaurants change their concept because it necessarily didn't work. I had one of my customers who was kind of more of a little bit upscale casual restaurant, beautiful place, and called me during COVID and said, I'm changing myself to a more of like a prepared foods deli kind of place, and still kept his bar. And during COVID, it was either that or close his restaurant. So he ended up changing his concept to that deli and prepared foods. During COVID, people just didn't necessarily want to cook or didn't want to go out, so they just went, picked up the food, and went home and heated up and made dinner. He did that for about a year, and that kept him in business, believe it or not. And that was a great change of concept in order to keep your business alive, and it worked. And kept him in business, and I praise him for that. He did a great job with that. And once I think the dust settled and everybody started going out and kind of feeling that, hey, it's okay, we can go back out to the restaurants, and I feel that it's okay, he changed it back, and he's still in business and doing well. And I think a lot of customers appreciated that because they wanted to help him keep him in business, and they didn't want to see him go under, so they kind of helped him stay alive by soliciting his business as a deli, as a prepared food, as a he even threw a pizza oven in there. I was just like, what? That's crazy. And you know who you are. I'll pop in one day and I'll do some promotions for you guys. But yeah, he built a pizza oven, and I started selling pizzas to appease some of the locals, and then giving them some stuff like that for the kids as well. And it worked. So don't be afraid of making some change, but don't go complete. If you're going to completely change your business and completely change your business and change your name, which another one of my other customers, and you know who you are, and I'll make a comment on it another day. He had a unique concept that did very well, in the beginning, and it was a Cuban place, and it's in the city. And he ended up changing his concept to be more of an American casual restaurant because I think in that particular area it might have worked for a while, but I think since COVID has changed the focus on where customers are in the city, I think a lot of people have changed the way they go to work. And I think in New York City it's like Tuesday through Thursday or something like that. Mondays and Fridays has been dead for the businesses. So he lost 2 good days, of business. So, and having a specific type of cuisine, sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So it worked for the time being when he had it for years, and he decided to kind of go to the regular route of the casual, bistro kind of place, and it's working now. So, again, you have to pivot sometimes, and but if you're gonna pivot, change your identity. Yeah. So I mean, it's not just that he changed his menu, changed his name, but also changed the ambiance, changed the menus, changed some of the decorations. You obviously seen all these Cuban pictures and colors and stuff like that. So it fits uh, the motif of what his brand is. So if you change your brand, completely change your brand. Don't just be like, okay, well, I'm going to sell fish, and I'm going to sell sushi, and I'm going to sell burgers, and I'm going to sell pizzas, and I'm going to sell you can't be a diner. If you want to be a diner, then call yourself a diner and serve everything. Okay, that's tough. You can't go and I'm going to serve everything just to please everybody and stay in business, because that's not how it works. So that's where our concept is with branding, and that also will help you figure out who your target market is. If you feel, and that's where when you go and you want to send out email blasts or text marketing or Facebook marketing, who's your target market? If you figure out you're like, oh, I'm going to try to please everybody, you can't. So when your target market is a certain age group, or you figure out who you want to send it to. So if you're like, well, we serve everybody, we take care of everybody, whether they're 5 or 95, then you're like, well, who can you target that market to? And you have to be careful that you're just all over the board and you're not focusing on a distinct area of your brand. And when you lose that, then you have no idea who you want to market to, and you just lose your identity. So by having that identity, it focuses your concept on who I want to target market, who I want to advertise to, who I want to focus to. Otherwise, you're just going to lose it. Okay. And I see this sometimes, collaborating with some partnerships of, any kind of the social medias people, if you want to get some of the influencers or food bloggers, if you want to kind of bring them in, with this podcast, I'm going to also be popping in and doing some restaurant stuff. So, stuff like that. If you can get people to come in and do a show in your restaurant, you might boost up your business. Hey, if that works, why not? And that's social media, like I said, is a great avenue to get into your business. Loyalty programs, which I'm always very, very big on. I see it less often, believe it or not, in a lot of the restaurants. You see a lot more with your chain restaurants, or Buffalo Wild Wings, or Chipotle or Starbucks or Panera Bread. Those smaller chain kind of places will do a lot of loyalty programs. And believe it or not, it brings a lot of people in. When something pops up on your phone, you say, hey, you got a free appetizer, or you got half off entree, or spend $30, you get $10 off, or something like that. I think that kind of triggers into the person's mind, and they do it. They do it right, and they send it out at the right time where you're like, oh my God, I'm hungry. Where am I going out tonight? Or where am I going out this weekend? It pops up at the right time, and they do the marketing very, very well to kind of target you to know when you're going to go out to eat and when it's the right time. They have it, down packed. So I think a loyalty program to get people to come in on a regular basis, to build up the points. I don't think regular restaurants locally kind of set up the loyalty program in order to bring people in more on a regular basis. And I think they should. So creates kind of a loyalty program, whether it's dollar for dollar, or reach a certain point system, and then you get a gift card or something like that. I've seen that. So I think we need to concentrate a little bit more on loyalty programs to keep people coming in on a regular basis, and whether you do email marketing, or you do text marketing, or you do social media marketing, but you need to make sure that you figure out when they come in, and have a statistic plan. If someone comes in, if they show you, hey, because if you're going to spend money on a certain type of program, you need to look at analytics and see if it's working for you or not. If it's not working for you, then you need to, stop wasting your time with it and then create something else. And I'm very big on analytics. And if something's not working, I'm not wasting my time, energy, or money, doing it again down the road. Events is very important in kind of promotions that you do. You need to make sure that you do those kind of events and programs based on what your product is and what your brand is. You don't want to go, and again, I keep using some of this, is, you don't want to have a taco party at a fine dining restaurant. If that's not your brand, then don't target to that, or don't accept that just because you need money, you need business. Same thing. You don't want to go and do a fine dining wine tasting or whiskey tasting at a mom and pop's kind of place. So, fit your events and your promotions based on what your brand is. And I think that will help you grow your business based on that. So don't, just throw stuff to the wind just so you want to, someone says, hey, you should do whiskey tasting, and you really don't have a lot of great whiskeys. So be careful with that. So I think your events and your promotions should be based on the type of restaurant that you are. Yeah, in a fine dining restaurant, do your you have like whiskey and cigar tasting, or wine pairing with dinner, like farm to table with a wine pairing. Do like it's like a 5 course dinner tasting with a fine wine and stuff like that. That's the kind of promotion you want to do in the fine dining restaurant. So promote your business based on the targets that you're going to have. And that's how you should do it. Don't just take something just because business is slow. It should be targeted based on what your market and brand is. Again, very important to kind of stay true to your brand, especially if you are one of those people or the businesses that are like like a farm to table or locally sourced or vegan, or I think it's very important, not to lose that if that was your mission, to be. And I know business is hard, and I've been in the restaurant industry for a very long time, and I've seen a lot of businesses come and go for many reasons. Whether it's from mismanagement or lack of funds or lack of promotions or a million other things why businesses come and go. But I think it's if you have a brand, I really think you should try to stay true to your brand and your mission. And if that doesn't work, there's no judgment on failure. A lot of people fail, and the ones who get back up and redo it again and learn from their mistakes, I think are the ones who definitely succeed. Just because your restaurant failed, it was your first restaurant, doesn't mean that you're going to fail. You learn from your mistakes and you figure out what you did wrong, and don't do them again. That's what it really comes down to. And I think a lot of businesses, don't spend enough time and energy in order to, try to stay to that. They're just trying to stay afloat. I think they need to kind of focus more on their brand, and I think brand is what makes us true. There's a lot of restaurants out there, guys, and we can go anywhere we want. But if you want to make yourself different than someone else, if you want to grow your product and grow your business and have multiple locations in multiple places, be true to your brand, stay true to what you are, hiring the people that are going to follow your brand, and make sure that you guys are successful in order to grow your business. Telling a story based on what you are. Like I said, if you're a farm to table, if you came from farming and now you want to make it into a restaurant, that's a great story to tell. If you started off as a farmer and your passion was food, and now you go from a farmer to a chef to a restaurant owner, what better story to tell? I mean, tell that story, put it on your menu, let people know, what your background was. And especially when you go to, touching tables, you're telling the customers, hey, I farmed that eggplant, I farmed that tomato, I have a garden, and we're true to where we are. So I think that's also very important, by telling your story and where you came from and how you became who you are based on that brand. So if someone is a lifelong vegan and they said, hey, I want to teach people how to be vegans. I want them to eat my type of food, and I want to take care of the planet. I want to take care of these people, and that's why I opened up a restaurant, a vegan restaurant, because I want people to, live the same way I live, and I want to make sure that they're healthy, and that's why I did that. So telling a story there's nothing wrong with that. I think that will help you, grow your business and grow your brand based on what that story is. So don't be afraid to tell that story. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today, and keep your brand true. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy.